Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not here with Geeky Sparkles, so we're going to talk about something she really doesn't care too much about. Tabletop gaming, Dungeons & Dragons, Wizards of the Coast looking for more money, and they're looking for more money. Apparently they're going to be trying to monetize Dungeons & Dragons like they monetize video games, that there's going to be more microtransactions, there are going to be more in-app purchases, that they want to bleed players dry because, you know, the burden to pay for all the books and stuff historically has been on dungeon masters, on game masters. No, everybody's got to pay. You got to pay to play. So we're going to talk about this. This is not shocking at all for a number of reasons. The first being that Wizards of the Coast is dragging Hasbro down. Yeah, their last earnings report was not good. There was a lot of blame being placed on Wizards of the Coast, dragging Hasbro's stock down because of the allegations that they've been overproducing Magic cards. Also, players not terribly happy with One D&D. That's a whole nother thing we can talk about. But also, this should have been the biggest red flag. Most of the people in charge at Wizards of the Coast, they've been hired from video game companies, from Microsoft specifically. So Hasbro obviously has been looking for Wizards to be more gamified, more like an app developer. And there were rumors a couple of years ago that they were possibly going to prep Wizards for sale to a company like Tencent. They brought in these people from Microsoft to run it. Now they're looking at microtransactions. And Kotaku, shockingly enough, Kotaku is telling people to just go play Pathfinder instead. They're like, maybe it's time to quit D&D. Unbelievable. This is after they've dogpiled Wizards of the Coast for racism, racist lore, removing the term race from the game. Again, Kotaku and the people who follow Kotaku have been the loudest voices calling for changes to Dungeons & Dragons. And now they're like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, just ditch the game because, you know, in-app purchases. We don't want that. We don't want microtransactions. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 282, almost 283,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciated. So we do talk about tabletop gaming, not as much as we used to. I am an old head. I played the basic set. I played AD&D 2nd edition and had a lot of good times back in the day. Tried to get my kids back into RPGs, into tabletop, and I found out that the scene is hella weird right now. It's really weird. It's weirdly politicized. A lot of Tumblr politics involved in Dungeons & Dragons, and Wizards of the Coast continually bends the knee time and time and time again. You know, whether it's characters' skin tones or the concept of race, or, you know, they're accused of flying monkeys being stand-ins for black people, orcs being stand-ins for black people. Do you see a common theme going on here? Yeah, that's not good. If you think non-human monsters are minorities, then I think the problem is with you. But Wizards, every time somebody gets a hair up their butt about something on Twitter or on Tumblr, Wizards makes a big statement about how they're going to change it all and they're good people, yada yada. Well, they're so good that they're willing to take a lot more of players' money through microtransactions. So this is coming from Kotaku. Again, Kotaku, who at the end of the article tells you to quit D&D and play Pathfinder instead. D&D CEO thinks the hobby is under-monetized compared to video games. In the investor meeting, Wizards of the Coast CEO expresses a desire for the type of recurrent spending you see in digital games. Again, they brought people in from Microsoft, from gaming, to work at Wizards of the Coast, and they've actually been ramping up their video game division over there at Wizards. I think they're doing like a G.I. Joe game or something. Like they're trying to turn Wizards into Blizzards of the Coast, I guess. Well, they have a Cosby suite. That's what I want to know. D&D is so synonymous with the hobby that I, like many who play tabletop RPGs other than D&D, often just refer to such games as D&D for short. But apparently that kind of name recognition and dominance in the field isn't enough for publisher Wizards of the Coast. Based on comments made during an investor call with the CEOs of Wizards and its owner Hasbro, the companies are interested in finding ways to increase monetization strategies linked to the world's greatest role-playing game. Similar to the kind we all know and love in video games, microtransactions and subscriptions. There it is, guys. Gotta milk the players too. It's not enough to milk the DM. See, I was always the DM. I always was the one that had to pay for all the books. And that did kind of suck after a while. It sucked. It was like, I'm the guy that has to, every time, hey, we need some new monsters. We need some new modules. Guess who had to spend his allowance buying the modules? It was me. As reported by Dicebreaker, Hasbro CEO Chris Cox and Wizards of the Coast CEO Cynthia Williams are looking to grow the future of Dungeons & Dragons through the type of recurrent spending you see in digital games, highlighting the fact that DMs or game masters spend the most on the hobby through rulebooks and digital services. Williams bemoaned the fact that players, those who only play individual characters, just aren't spending enough to play in the company's fantasy world. She described D&D's current state as under-monetized. Yes, because they're getting it from all sides now. Hasbro's probably telling them, you got to pick up the pace. We got investors to please. There have been numerous negative articles about Magic the Gathering kind of withering on the vine in the last year or two, because it was huge during the pandemic, but then they were supposedly overprinting cards. Now, I don't know the specifics of that. I actually know a guy who runs a game shop, and I was asking him about it, and he said, yeah, it's terrible. He said it's completely killed the secondary market. But he's like, it is what it is. They get paid. He doesn't get paid. It's true that purchasing the core rulebooks cost around $100 and can provide you with a lifetime of material to play with if you wanted to save money and use your imagination like some kind of monster. $100 isn't nothing, but it's hardly the amount that, say, a lifelong gamer is likely to spend on new video games in 1 year, and many players of video games do spend much more than that just on microtransactions within their favorite titles. However, some might say this ability to spend around $60 to $100 and then let your imagination guide you the rest of the way is the appeal of the hobby. I would say it is. It's approachable, affordable, and has a personal, unplugged feel to it, but then again, that doesn't match up with the kinds of spending models we see in digital games. And again, Wizards brought people in from Microsoft, from video games, to do just this. They want to turn it into a digital product. From a certain angle, perhaps it's easy to understand why executives at WotC and Hasbro may lament that someone can just buy a few books, get some dice, and spend the rest of their lives happily playing the game without spending another cent. There are plenty of great supplemental source books available too, though which for $30 to $60 offer new options for character creation, new magic items and abilities, etc. There's also a digital service known as D&D Beyond, which offers online access to various rules, reference materials, etc. In that sense, digital game style spending models are already there, and D&D has hit a new level of pop culture awareness because of Stranger Things and Critical Role. We know that. Sometimes it's not even about the game as much as it is hanging out with fun, entertaining people. Wizards, it seems, wants people to pay more for the experience and more often. These comments come as D&D is currently undergoing a transition from its wildly popular 5th edition rule set published 8 years ago to the next revision, with the so-called One D&D, the politically correct One D&D, now without race. This new frontier promises a brand new digital play space and tighter integration with D&D Beyond's suite of online tools. What we've seen of the new digital tools sure looks like a video game, and it's depressing to think that central to the development of the next gen of the hobby, C-suite dreams of pay-to-play extravaganza are on the way, and when you look at D&D Beyond, it feels like financial infrastructure is already in place. It is. Here it is. The next big D&D experience looks like a video game, and that is a problem. Yeah, I remember I used to play, this is how old I am, I used to play the SSI AD&D games. Remember those? Those were pretty cool. Pool of Radiance and Silver Blades and Death Knights of Kryn, that was pretty good. But yeah, that's exactly what is going on here. They're going to turn D&D into a large mobile app with microtransactions. And, at this point, you can nope out. You can choose to nope out. You can find another system, which is interesting because, again, Kotaku, which has been publishing tons and tons of articles about how problematic D&D is. Lots and lots of articles, if you go through, especially Kotaku, Polygon. These two outlets especially have really hit D&D pretty hard, and I believe pushed Wizards to bend the knee in terms of modifying how they handle race and identity politics and all that crap, right? But now they're telling you to go play Pathfinder. The next time you start working on some homebrew rules and stories, won't you please think of the poor CEOs who lose sleep over the fact that you're not paying enough to do so? And don't you dare consider playing another game like Pathfinder or 13th Age. You can play Warhammer, that gets expensive. No, that's exactly what they're going to do. There's a reason they brought video game people into WotC. They're going to gamify it. And, if it's not printing the money they think it should print, it's going to be damn attractive to a company like Tencent or some other, big mobile company or something, and they'll just sell the whole damn thing off or something. That's what I think the long-term plan is. There have been rumors that they were going to sell Wizards of the Coast, and people have been arguing with me on this, but multiple outlets confirmed right before the pandemic they were actually getting ready to sell WotC, and they were very successful then. They said, they would never sell it because it prints them money. It's like, no, they look at the future. When you sell a company, you look at the future of the company. Are the sales going to continue to go up and up and up, or have we plateaued? And I think D&D, honestly, unless they start bleeding individual players with microtransactions, I think they plateaued. I think a lot of people are going to stick with the books they have, go with another system, go with OSR. And, I think they're looking at this like, yeah, the pandemic pretty much was it for us. Like we had the perfect storm of Stranger Things, which showcases a version of D&D that no longer exists. We had Stranger Things paired up with everybody being stuck in their house and playing more games, more board games, more card games. And now we see that Hasbro stock is cratering. So as we can see, Hasbro stock continues to fall. It fell again today. Hasbro stock falls Wednesday, underperforms the market. Shares of Hasbro slipped 1.17% to $59.96. They've really been dropping off a cliff, and a lot of it has to do, again, with that perception that WotC is weighing them down. So they're going to do what they have to do to try to get as much money out of individual players. And the question for you is, are you going to go along for the ride, or is it time to get off of this train? I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.